I am Reed, I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. But today we are not talking about money. Today we are talking about something way weirder, your brain. Specifically, the moments when your brain just completely glitches out. I am talking about those times where you feel like reality itself is buffering. I have been thinking about this a lot lately because, man, our brains are bizarre. Like, we walk around thinking we are these rational, logical beings, and then your brain decides to make you taste scrambled eggs. When someone says the word calendar, or you close your eyes after playing a game for too long and you still see the blocks falling. That is your brain. It is basically a computer running on temperamental hardware, and sometimes the software crashes. So let me walk you through some of the craziest brain glitches that exist. Some of these you have probably experienced, some of them are super rare, but all of them are real, and all of them will make you question everything you thought you knew about your own mind. Let us start with Alice in Wonderland Syndrome. I remember the first time I heard about this, I was like, wait, that is a real thing. Yes, it is. Imagine you are just walking through your apartment, nothing crazy. You are getting water, you are about to sit down and watch something, and suddenly your legs feel like they are 6 feet long. The ceiling looks like it is a mile high. The hallway looks like it might just keep going forever. You blink, you shake your head. You try to recalibrate, but everything is warped. It feels like somebody swapped your normal apartment for a dream sequence. That is Alice in Wonderland Syndrome. And no, it is not a metaphor or some TikTok trend. It is a legitimate neurological condition where your brain's spatial perception goes completely off the rails. Objects shrink distances. Stretch your own limbs might feel like they belong to someone else, or like you are controlling a video game character with the field of view maxed out. Here's the thing that is wild to me. It is not a hallucination. Everything is exactly where it is supposed to be. Your eyes are seeing the real world. But your brain's internal measuring tape is completely broken. Like, your brain is looking at reality and just guessing the dimensions wrong. Most of the time, it is linked to migraines. About 16% of migraine patients report experiencing it at some point in their lives. It can also happen with seizures or sometimes just really weird sleep cycles. It is like reality turns elastic for a few terrifying, fascinating minutes. And you are fully aware the whole time, but being aware does not make it feel any less glitchy. You just have to wait for the system to reboot. I have never personally experienced this, but I have talked to people who have, and they all say the same thing. It is terrifying, but also kind of fascinating. Like, your brain is showing you that your perception of reality is just an interpretation. It is not reality itself. That is a heavy thought. Now let me hit you with something even weirder. Lexical gustatory synesthesia. So, you know how some people say they can taste colors or hear shapes? That is synesthesia, but there is a specific type that is absolutely wild lexical gustatory synesthesia. This is when words trigger actual taste sensations in your mouth. Not like, oh, that word reminds me of something. No, I mean, you actually taste it. Someone says the word calendar and boom, you taste scrambled eggs. They say Wednesday and suddenly you are tasting coconut. Your brain is playing a flavor-based word game and you have no control over it. Imagine trying to have a serious meeting at work. Your boss is talking about quarterly projections and you are over here tasting anchovies and mango yogurt every time he says a certain word. That is not a distraction, that is chaos. This condition is ultra rare, like only a handful of documented cases, but it is very real. Some people say names are spicy, numbers are sour. Abstract nouns taste like burnt toast. For the people who live with this, it can be delightful sometimes. Other times, it is just completely exhausting, but it goes to show you how weird the wiring in our brains actually is. Your language center and your taste center are supposed to be separate, but for some people, the wires just crossed and now vocabulary is a menu. All right, next one. Visual snow. This one I find fascinating because it is actually more common than people think. About 2 to 3% of the population has it. That is millions of people. So if you are one of them, you are not alone. Imagine waking up, opening your eyes, and everything looks fuzzy, not blurry, not out of focus, just covered in static, like the entire world has a layer of television noise over it. No matter where you look, that grainy film follows. Welcome to visual snow syndrome. Your brain overlays a constant layer of visual noise over your perception of reality. Like your retina is broadcasting on the wrong channel, it is not painful for most people. It is just disorienting. And here's the part that gets me. It does not go away when you blink. It does not go away when you look at a wall. It does not go away when you close your eyes. It is there all the time, like the universe forgot to anti-alias itself. Researchers still do not fully understand what causes it, but the leading theory is that it is a neurological sensory processing issue. Your brain is trying to show you the world, but it turned the contrast up to 11. You are awake, but you are watching constant static. Add in bright lights, headaches, and visual distractions, and you've got a 24/7 visual filter nobody asked for. It is like your brain put reality in lo-fi mode and then lost the remote. I have talked to a few people who have this, and they say most of the time they just tune it out, but when they think about it, it is impossible to ignore. Kind of like how you are now suddenly aware of your own breathing. Sorry about that foreign accent syndrome. This one is wild, like genuinely one of the rarest and most bizarre brain glitches ever recorded. Picture this. You wake up one morning, you say good morning to your partner or your roommate, and the voice that comes out is not yours. It has an accent. Maybe British, maybe French, maybe something nobody can even identify. And here's the weirdest part, you cannot turn it off, that is foreign accent syndrome. Usually it happens after a brain injury or a stroke. The language centers in your brain basically reboot, but the dials get twisted, your mouth moves the same way it always did. But your rhythm, tone, and pronunciation get completely remapped. It is not faked, it is not imagined, it is not controllable. And in some cases, it can be permanent. Imagine the identity crisis of speaking in a voice that does not feel like yours. Like someone else has taken over your vocal cords. There have only been about 100 confirmed cases worldwide since 1907. It is incredibly rare. Some people adapt. Others feel like they lost a part of their identity to a glitch they cannot reverse. Over time, the accent might shift again, or it might never go away. You are not performing, you are debugging. That phrase honestly sums up so many of these conditions, the Tetris Effect. Okay, this one you have probably experienced. You spend the day playing Tetris or Candy Crush or organizing your bookshelf or driving cross-country. Then you close your eyes to sleep and it is still happening. The blocks keep falling, the road keeps stretching, the matching tiles keep swapping themselves. Even your dreams are in level design mode, that is the Tetris Effect, when your brain gets so looped into a repetitive task that it continues simulating it long after you have stopped. It is like your brain goes, cool, pattern, let us rehearse this forever. It happens after long sustained sessions of a visual or physical task. Games, routines, manual labor, your mind just keeps playing without you. The effect is usually harmless, but it is disorienting, like muscle memory but for your vision. Sometimes it actually helps you master a task. Other times it just invades your sleep, like a screensaver you cannot disable, your brain is always optimizing. It starts doing the task better in your head than you ever did in real life. It does not want to stop and you cannot convince it to. I remember playing FIFA for like 6 hours straight one weekend when I was in college. I closed my eyes and all I could see was the green field and the little player indicators I was literally dreaming about through balls and offside traps. It is hilarious, but also a little scary how easily your brain gets trapped in a loop. Earworms, oh man, this one hits close to home. You know the feeling? You hear a song once, just a snippet, a jingle, a 3-second clip of something you barely even like. And now it has looped in your head 300 times. Congratulations, you have an earworm. Your brain's auditory loop got hijacked by an involuntary melody, usually catchy, sometimes annoying, always impossible to delete. And the worst part is trying not to think about it only makes it worse. It is like mental quicksand. The more you struggle, the deeper it burrows. Some researchers think it is your brain attempting to resolve unfinished patterns, like your brain hears a song, does not get the full resolution, and just keeps trying to complete it. Other researchers say it is just poor impulse control in your auditory cortex. Either way, enjoy the soundtrack because it might last hours or days. Some people report earworms that return months later, like cursed MP3s stored in their soul. Music you did not ask for but cannot skip. And the more you try to override it with another song, the more your brain just becomes a cursed shuffle loop. I have definitely been there, waking up at 3 a.m. with a random jingle from a fast food commercial stuck in my head. No idea why, no way to stop it, you just have to ride it out. Mandela Effect. Okay, you know this one, you remember it so clearly. The Monopoly Man had a monocle. Darth Vader said, "Luke, I am your father." It was definitely Berenstain Bears with an E, except none of that is true. The Monopoly Man never had a monocle. Darth Vader actually said, "No, I am your father." And it was Berenstain with an A. That is the Mandela Effect, a shared false memory experienced by groups of people. It is not just you. Entire communities vividly remember things that never happened. It is named after people misremembering the date of Nelson Mandela's death, but now it is basically a whole genre of reality slippage. Your memory is not a hard drive, it is a messy editable Google Doc that everyone can type into at once, and sometimes the edits go viral. Maybe your brain conflated details, maybe pop culture reinforced the wrong version over time. Or maybe we all glitched into the wrong universe at some point and we are just rolling with it. Either way, the Mandela Effect raises a pretty unsettling question. How much of your memory is actually true and how much is just consensus hallucination? That one keeps me up at night sometimes. Semantic satiation. Say the word apple. Now say it again, again. Apple, apple, apple. Apple. What is an apple? That is semantic satiation. When repeating a word causes it to completely lose its meaning. Your brain short-circuits the sound to meaning connection, and you are left with just a pile of alien-sounding phonemes. It is like language is a video file, and you kept scrubbing back and forth until it glitched. The word melts, not literally, but psychologically. It is the audio version of staring at a painting until it just turns into blobs of color. Language has to feel automatic. When you interrupt that rhythm with repetition, the brain just tosses the whole concept out the window. Congratulations, you broke a word. You can fix it, but it takes time. You have to let your brain recompile its language drivers. Until then, apples are just noise. I used to do this as a kid for fun, just say a word until it sounded like gibberish. I did not know there was a name for it. I just thought I was being weird. Turns out my brain was just showing me how fragile language actually is. The fictive loop, you finish a book and you mourn a character, like they were your childhood dog. You get genuinely angry at a villain who never existed. You cry about a dragon who died in a CGI explosion. That is the fictive loop, when fictional experiences trigger real lasting emotions. Your brain does not care whether it was a movie, a novel, or a fever dream. If it felt real, it gets logged like it was real. Neurologically speaking, emotions do not distinguish between fact and fiction. You are literally grieving someone who never lived, and that heartbreak is 100% real. Stories are simulations for emotion. They train us for situations we may never actually experience, and that includes pain, loss, and growth over things that were completely made up. Fiction hits like fact because your brain does not see the border, and the more immersive the story, the stronger the imprint. You walk away changed, not by what actually happened, but by what your brain believed happened. I still cannot watch certain movies without getting emotional, and part of me used to feel embarrassed about that, like why am I crying over a fictional character? But now I understand. That is just my brain doing what it is supposed to do. Feeling deeply is not weakness. It is proof that your brain is working. Derealization. This one is heavy, so bear with me. The room looks normal, the lights are on, the colors are real, but somehow everything feels fake. Like a movie set, like a simulation, like you are watching your own life from behind a glass wall. That is derealization. A dissociative glitch where your emotional connection to the world temporarily vanishes. People feel robotic, voices sound far away, time stretches and warps, nothing feels wrong, but nothing feels real either. It is usually triggered by stress, panic attacks, or trauma. And while it can feel existentially terrifying, it is not dangerous. Just disorienting, like reality is buffering, it passes, but in the moment you feel completely disconnected from everything. You know, you are alive, but you do not feel like you are in it. Like you are just watching through someone else's eyes, and no matter how hard you try, you cannot emotionally plug back in. It is like being homesick for your own existence. I have had moments like this, not full derealization episodes, but closed times where life felt like I was watching it on a screen. And the scariest part is you do not even realize it is happening until you come out of it. If you have experienced this, please know you are not broken. It is your brain's way of protecting you from overload. It passes. You come back. Now, let me switch gears a little. Because your brain does not just glitch in these weird perceptual ways, it also has these hidden manipulation blind spots, these cognitive biases that mess with how you make decisions every single day. And nobody teaches you about this stuff in school, but it affects your money, your relationships, your career, everything. So let me walk you through a few that hit home for me personally. The sunk cost fallacy. I have talked about this before on this channel, but it is worth repeating because it is so dangerous. Imagine you went to law school, 3 years, 6 figures of debt, you pass the bar, you get a decent job at a firm, and you hate every single second of it. The work is soul-crushing, the culture is toxic. You dread Mondays like they are a funeral, but every time you think about leaving, that same thought traps you. I worked too hard to give this up. That is the sunk cost fallacy. You are confusing effort with obligation because you paid a steep price to get here. You assume the only way to honor that cost is to stay. But here is the truth. The cost is already paid. Staying miserable does not get you a refund. It just adds interest. This fallacy turns high achievers into high-functioning prisoners. You think quitting would make it all a waste, but what is actually wasteful is sacrificing your future to justify a decision you made 5 years ago with a completely different version of yourself. You are not walking away from value, you are walking toward alignment, toward sanity,